Here we go. Now Rumble should be able to hear things now. And I should be able to get the camera going. All right, there we go. So now get Rumble going. Okay. So let's go ahead and screen share. And no, we want this one. Okay. All right. Greetings, everyone. I am Christine Van Pelt on Gibson County, State Coordinator and Lead Recording Secretary for the Indiana Assembly. It is Monday, April 1st of 2024, and the General Assembly and Militia Assembly are in session. And I want to remind everyone that while in the U.S. it's considered April Fool's Day, in past history, this was actually the start of the year. So some things to think about as we go along. And I forgot to bring my phone in here. But hopefully Joe, our PKTF Executive Director, as well as our Area 4 Postal Chief, may be able to come to the call afterwards. Otherwise, we have some information for him to update. All right, let's go ahead and get things going, and we'll start with a moment of silence to honor our Creator. All right, just some reminders of some times that we're in by the word of truth, by the power of God, by the armor of righteousness on the right hand and on the left, 2 Corinthians 6. And there's also Ephesians 6, put on the whole armor of God, that you may be able to stand against the assaults of the devil. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, and against the worldly governors, the princes of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness which are in high places. Just as that reminder. All right. A most recent article from ANA stated that the assemblies, and again, if you make sure you can help me out by letting me know if you have any sound troubles, or if you're not seeing anything, put it in the chat for me, and make sure you put at least your first name and what county you're on in the chat, so we can make sure and recognize you in the record. In one of the most recent articles from ANA this past week, a public international notice, she stated that the assemblies need to start putting a disclaimer up. We are engaged in the practice of self-government. Everyone here is volunteering their precious time and skill. Each one is an American with rights and prerogatives equal to your own. They're doing this work out of mutual necessity to restore the lawful American government. Demands for service, temper tantrums, and misplaced anger are inappropriate. This country does not belong to its government. This country belongs to the people who live here, and you're one of them. So pay attention. All right, the Bivens decision. This meeting is private. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance at today's meeting that is a member of any law enforcement agency or public agency of the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Is there any response to the Bivens decision for the first time? You can put your response in the chat. I'm thinking on Rumble, I only see Rumble chat. I'm not sure if I see other. Oh, stop. That's what that does. Okay, so that shows what it looks like, I guess, on the others. All right. Again, learning technology. All right, you can put in the chat if there are any responses. And hearing and seeing none, is there any response to the Bivens decision for the second time? Hearing and seeing none, is there any response to the Bivens decision for the third and final time? No response. Further, anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including the territorial United States or municipal United States. Anyone who's being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises. All right. Keep right on going. In the presentation, which in the description, for the Rumble description, I have one main link that'll be for the template so it can do the continuous through, but it'll be the main thing of the link of where all the agendas will be uploaded after the call, when I can be able to put the those that were present on the call into the agenda. But that's where you'll be able to find them, and then you can also see past agendas. And here is this week's table of contents for the agenda with links to the slides for them. I've only been doing this the last few weeks, so they're not all going to have an agenda. So don't email me saying, where's the agenda? Table of contents. All right, so we'll go ahead and get things going. So again, this is Monday, the 1st of April, 2024. I am Christine on Gibson County. I want to welcome you home. And of course, if we have the opportunity with Joe, he is on Spencer County, Kentucky. He's our Postal 4 area chief. That is with Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, and Kentucky. And he is also, because we all have the postal zip code that starts with 4. And he is also the PKTF executive director. So we're very special, very honored that we have the opportunity that he has spent time to be able to come to our calls, to be able to help support, giving us the education and training, and to be there to answer questions for us, to be able to help build the militia. And if you will have noticed in the emails that go out, that's the assembly reminder and call details, that it does have a link to, that's an email directly to Joe, that if you have questions relative to militia, how the sheriff fits, if you had questions about you're interested in being a sheriff or marshal at arms, or how the peacekeeping aspect is involved with it, email him directly so that he can be able to get you on that right path to be able, so you can get the right information. Okay. And it's in the emails for the invites. All right. And remember, you'll get the emails for the invites if you update your email to the new email address server. And there's been emails going out that people have not been following through with yet. And we'll go to more of that. And so here's a brief run through of the agenda items for this evening. And we want to make sure that the next General Assembly call will be in 2 weeks, Monday, April the 15th. And then next week, the 8th, is the Jural Assembly call. And that is, of course, the day of the solar eclipse. So I wish you all peace and love in that time. Logic and laws of freedom. Every man and woman is born free and deserves to live and die free. Everyone is responsible for him or herself, for what we think and what we do. With every right comes a responsibility. Our individual rights end where other rights begin. Rights and freedoms that are not exercised are moot. When we enslave another, we enslave ourselves. We are responsible for directing those we employ. If we don't like something, it's up to us to change it. If we see an injustice, it's up to us to correct it. If we want peace, it's our duty to keep it. If we're bogged down, it's our job to climb over or dig under. If we cherish our own rights, we must cherish the rights of others. If we cherish our own freedom, we must cherish the freedom of others. And here is the article. And I'd like to add to that as well, is that if you want to see others on the call, be on the call. Start being on the call and hold down the fort for the others, so that they can start seeing others are on the call too, and then maybe they'll show up to be on the call. Start being on the call if you want to see others on the call. Start being that which you want others to be. Think about it. Remember, this is not a get out of trouble with the de facto ticket. There is no fairy dust involved here. They'll have to work. They'll have work to do, notices to send, a lot to do to give legal, financial, medical. It's not our responsibility to give legal, financial, medical, or even personal advice. Always guide the questioner to resources that will help them make the decisions that are right for them. Do not fall into the role of life coach, counselor, spiritual advisor, or other advice giver. Let people know that simply becoming an American state national will not instantly solve their problems. Lots and lots of research to do. Some people will ask how their life will be different from after correcting their status. There is no way you can know how someone else's life will be different. Invite them to a meeting or gathering where they can meet others who can share their own experiences. Again, start being there. Become that which you want to be and see in others. Nationality is a birthright. Assembly membership is a choice. We can't deprive people of their birthright status. We can and must throw disruptive people out of meetings and refuse to let them interfere with getting the work done. Participation in assemblies is predicated on being polite and productive members of the community. Troublemakers and anarchists and the me people need to be disciplined, educated, and if need be, shown the door. The assemblies are business organizations engaged in very serious and important business. We have to set the tone for new members and establish the group values so that the members as a whole disciplines people to be polite, logical, businesslike, and mature. The moment anyone starts acting like that, like a seventh grader, and gossiping and being paranoid, it's up to the whole group to let that person know that that behavior pattern is not appropriate, not productive, not appreciated, and won't be tolerated. Shun gossipers and fear-mongering, and it will disappear. All right, let's see any comments. Okay. Excuse me. What is that little thing up for? Hold on, I'm not sure what that is. Oh, I guess that's the little button for the screen sharing. Okay, technology. Again, we're looking for ASN or ASC to be willing, that has tech support, that's willing to volunteer to step up to help bring this forward. We're looking ideally for a whole IT committee to be able to work through this. All right, coordinators mission, which we're all coordinators because not only do we need to work through the process, but then showing others, because we are all part of outreach. We are all part of, because it's militia, we are all the people. We are all here to bring this to the community. We are the community. We cannot fail. We are willing and able to do this work physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. We have resolve and determination. We walk the talk and work every day to bring the dejur into reality. We have excellent tools to complete our work. We set realistic and achievable goals. We learn and research constantly. We have a timeline of this year. We track our progress. We measure our strengths and weaknesses. We continually improve and revise accordingly. And we conduct ourselves with peace and love. All right, so reminders of spotting infiltrators. You can be able to go through these. Just remember that many are highly trained and well-paid operatives and do have the patience to carry out a long-term plan of disruption. Don't think they won't, and they may just be Sally down the road at the grocery store that you've known for the last year. Oh, she wouldn't do that. You never know. Here is a list, a 2-page list of how past attacks have occurred, that of infiltrators, whether or they've been indoctrinated, and how they want to attack to try to bring problems in. And you can read through that. Of course, it's always attack the coordinators or ANA. Attack foundational elements of the assembly, the paperwork, the assembly process, wanting to try and find all kinds of loopholes to try and figure out different ways. Many think they're coming in to try and get a different name, do their name change. Or they're thinking how many IDs can they rack up from different places and possibly even with different names. Please stop playing your games. You're only lying to yourself. So things to think about, right? And they're smooth with and it's all narcissist behavior. They've gotten people to follow along with them for so long, and that's the indoctrination with it, that's what it's bred into. All right, the Indiana Assembly mission statement, and it identifies 7 specific missions that we're supposed to fulfill here with the Indiana Assembly. Our Indiana Assembly is dedicated to the restoration of a complete and fully operational land and soil jurisdiction, state and county court system serving the people of Indiana. That's number 1, very first thing. That's why first things first, right? First principles. The preservation of the national trust, the enforcement of the public law, the upholding of the federal constitution owed to our state and people, the repopulation of our land and soil jurisdiction, the filling of vacated public offices, and the reclamation of our material and intellectual public and private assets. To these ends, we, the living people of Indiana, have called the eligible Indiana nationals and citizen electors to assemble and to serve as jurors and officers, and we have established the process and procedure to qualify jurors and others competent to hold state citizenship and public office. We do this peacefully and without rancor in the exercise of our unincorporated powers and capacities. And we show up. You're supposed to show up, be a part of it. That's why it's we the people, of the people, and for the people, everyone remembers, but they forget that by the people. That's the part they want to forget. All right, let's see. All right, outreach mission. Our mission is to help people understand who they are and why they were misidentified as U.S. citizens of the United States, and provide a solution by correcting the political status, joining the Indiana Assembly, including home county assembly, and becoming actively involved in restoring the Republican form of government we are owed. We do this through a combination of consulting, facilitation, and training services that provide the optimal benefit to the future American. To assist future Americans, we offer a range of opportunities designed to live like an American: high-impact video conferencing, turnkey political correction process, web-based libraries, local assembly meetings, state assembly meeting, continental marshal and deputy programs, state and county committees. Value statements. We stand under the laws of nature. The laws of nature is God, the 10 Commandments, the Declaration of Independence. We accept the fiduciary responsibility of the Indiana Trust and operate under the prudent man standard, meaning we treat our state business as if it were our own business. We keep the peace and uphold the public law. We report crime. We value each man and woman as a unique creator of our Creator and recognize them as a powerful co-creator. We willingly choose to self-govern and strive to show up as our best self in each and every experience. Again, like I stated, we strive to show up and as our best selves, which means we also, when we show up, we're on camera. Be there. Be present. Stop hiding. Stop hiding. We do not and we will not condone or participate in any form of insurrection, rebellion, or creation of armed forces other than the lawful state assembly militias operated as they're supposed to be operated within each state, and our land-based Continental Marshal Service, which is our jurisdictional interface with the U.S. Marshal Service. And we perform under the treaties and constitutional agreements already established, and for supporting the restored American government, the reconstruction thereof, and will become responsible for the conduct of the restored Confederation and Federal Republic. All right, let's see if there are any questions, comments, chats. No? Interesting. Indiana is supposed to be the light bearers. Okay. All right. So here are links to, here is the link to the Assembly Affirmation of Purpose and Conduct. Here is info for you to put down for your contact information for the Assembly. So the General Assembly has information about to contact you and get you information. The Jural Assembly as well as the Militia Assembly, because everyone's a part of all three. Here is the Indiana Assembly men and women points of order so that you know how to handle yourself in the assembly environment. the Assembly Militia standards and principles. Committees, the way we work, you've got to actually get on a committee. And then, of course, to be able to be a participant on the committee, yes, you can be a national to be on a committee, but you will have had to cancel the contracts. That way there's no conflict of interest. Standard operating procedures template so that you can see that there's a forward movement on making sure things keep going, because many like to use opportunities to be able to stall and not get things moving. So this is a great tool put in place by Joe in order to be able to help keep things moving forward through projects that start in the General Assembly and move to the committees. Call to public office and assembly offices so you can get more details within each of the roles that are open for office. Yes, it is your public duty. So here are two articles, but it's in the audio, or you can go to searchonavonrights.com, put in the article number or put in public duty, and you'll be able to find these for the written article. But here's the audio of them. It is your public duty. All right, Law of Peace, there's the link to it. Just as there is a manual for the Law of War, there is a manual, an Army manual for the Law of Peace, and there is a copy of it. Common Law Community Training Manual, establishing the reign of natural liberty, the common law and its courts. We're reading that on the 2nd and 4th Mondays of the month for the Jural Assembly calls. And we're getting close to being done with that. And then next we'll read Ex parte Milligan so that we can remind everyone that that was on Indiana. And here are important articles by Anna. You have 3 choices. You can either, you can status correct and actually come and be a part of land and soil jurisdiction, or you can go ahead and go to the district assembly, or you can go to a municipal assembly and work with them on reforming. But those attitudes and behaviors won't be tolerated here in the land and soil, on the land and soil jurisdiction. There is the article of earlier about district infiltrators. Here is information about how to handle yourself as Americans, and a public alert for state assemblies. Moving through in November, it's looking countrywide of going to Faith Monument. Here are 2 videos by Kirk Cameron that gives information about Faith Monument. And here are some links to connect. Here's the link tree. And I've done some updating with it, as well as there's that gave the opportunity to add a store. So I added some of the things from the At Home on Indiana site over there. All right, so here's our actual structure that we need to put in place. This is the part that we, the people, are supposed to be filling. That's you, the people. You're supposed to be showing up to do this. Come on, come to the table. We're waiting for you. Let's see. Any man of the eligibility, any man or woman over the age of 21 who has adopted state, national, or state citizen political status, who has a permanent home in their state and has lived in that state for at least 1 year, is eligible to join the state assembly. All right. That means you have to show your status correction, bring your whatever choice you're making as national or citizen. So you have to provide the appropriate paperwork, and then provide that you have a permanent home in the state, and you've lived here at least for 1 year and a day to be able to join the assembly. It's all right there. Article 3305. Okay. Everyone has to deal with that. Greetings. I see you're on. Welcome you to the call with us on free conference call. Please, and you can make sure you need to put in somewhere in the chat or something. I see it has your first name, but you'll need to put what county you're on so that we can put that in for the record. We do welcome you, but this is for the public record, so we do need to make sure we include what county that you're on, can recognize you. All right. This is we do have to participate with that. All right, so we're all part of outreach and recruitment. You have to reach out to other Americans and share the information, invite them in. Stop waiting around for others. Stop waiting around for others to get involved. You start showing up. Start being that what you're looking for. Yeah, again, go ahead and put in the chat, or if you are on phone, you can unmute with *6 and let us know what county you're on, Alexis, so we can welcome you. And I don't think there's any. I'm still not. Okay, good. All right, so let's get back over here. We have to all come out. We all have to be able to come forward. We're Americans. All right, we're here to help people understand and navigate the paperwork and record it. Help people join and participate in the assembly, either as state nationals or state citizens. Explain the difference. Were you able to put a comment in chat, Alexis? I'm not seeing anything yet as to which county you're on for Indiana. It looks familiar, but I'm not quite sure. But I don't know what county you're on right at the moment. Everyone serves as a juror and is a member of the jury pool and is part of the Jural assembly. Again, state nationals and state citizens are both eligible and decide cases involving this in-state issues, while state citizens alone hear cases involving international subject matter. Anyone who is fit and between the ages of 21 and 45 is eligible to serve as part of the assembly militia. The General Assembly holds all elections for the officers of the General Assembly, International Assembly, the courts, and the militia. The chairman of the General Assembly is the speaker for the assembly, not the president, not the CEO. These are not incorporated entities and have no such hierarchy. Everyone elected to an assembly office has a job to do, nothing more or less. The sooner everyone adjusts their attitude to account for this, the better. Are you on your cell phone, Alexis, that you can maybe do *6 to unmute so you can at least let us know what county you're on, please, dear? Or put it in the chat, please. This is a reminder that there is only one assembly recognized in each state by the American States Assembly, our Federation of States. So the Alabama Assembly, the California Assembly, the Indiana Assembly. This is the Indiana Assembly. There are no other Indiana assemblies connected to the Federation of States. There's only one rightful, lawful assembly for this state. Anyone can assemble, but there can be only one actual, factual, rightful, and lawful assembly that is the foundational part of our American government. And you found this. I'm not sure why you're not able to respond, Alexis, to be able to give us a heads up as to which county you're on. Please. This is the assembly that has been summoned by the only legitimate summoning authority, the United States of America, our unincorporated Federation of States. Any other organization calling itself an assembly is not recognized by the Federation and has no lawful standing as part of the true American government. Though it hasn't quite hit home yet for many people, incorporated organizations like Life Force, the Reign of the Heavens Society, the Kingdom of Hawaii, the Republic, the United States of North America, the Unity States of America, Russell Gould's operation, and similar efforts all represent foreign governments. Alexis, is there something I can help you with then? Is there some kind of tech problems you're having that somehow you can be able to get a message to us? Chat. Okay. Hi. What county are you on, dear? We'll wait. Marion County. All right. Thank you. Welcome, dear. Thank you. We're Americans now. We don't hide, okay? We're upfront, and it is our public duty, and this goes on the public record, and we want to make sure that you're included as standing up as an Indianian to help support this reconstruction of our lawful government. Thank you. All right, so you have 3 assembly choices. You can either join your American State Assembly, which means you also have to present your status correction to be able to provide the active participation. Stand up as an American and declare and record your political status as someone who is self-governing and owed all the constitutional guarantees and all proper exemptions. Build up your state assembly and enjoy the protection of the public law. Be responsible for your American government and its proper functioning. Live up to being worthy of independence, right? You have to work for this. It's not going to be handed over to you. They do not want to give it to you because they've created a slave system. They don't want to give it up, so you're going to have to take it. Or you have choice 2. You can join a local district assembly, accept the status of British subject, agree to give up your land and other material possessions to the Queen to use as chattel property, relinquish your constitutional guarantees, agree to be counted as a British territorial U.S. citizen, live under foreign statutory law, either as a ward of the state or as indentured servant, give up responsibility for your government and do whatever you're told to do. Same thing with local municipal district assembly, which that's with the papist municipal as a citizen of the United States. Give up all natural rights and interests. Okay, the General Assembly, that's this. The General Assembly, everyone that lives on Indiana is a part of the General Assembly. Those that want to be able to actually take part and receive information and start actively supporting the assembly, then you have to present your status correction. You will always be asked what county that you live on because this is for Indianians. It's not for anyone else. And we openly talk with each other. Okay, we're not U.S. citizens that are always in hiding because they're afraid and living in fear. It's time to start walking in your armor. The General Assembly is the driver of everything. The Militia Assembly, the Jural Assembly, the Business Assembly, everything comes through the General Assembly first to drive what happens in the other pillars. These are known as the 4 pillars. You'll hear it very often. General Assembly is a pillar. Business Assembly is a pillar. Jural Assembly a pillar. Militia Assembly pillar. Excuse me. Here's where you have more details about the 4 pillars. The General Assembly, Militia Assembly, and the Jural Assembly. Everyone is a part of. It is all nationals are a part of General, Jural, and Militia, as well as all those living on Indiana. Then it depends on if you're going to actively participate to be able to present your status correction to join as. You would join as a General Assembly member, and then you're also a member of the other pillars of the Assembly. It's the International Business Assembly that is for citizens only. They have had to have canceled all contracts and have no conflict of interest and can be able to speak on behalf of the state itself internationally. Here's a pictorial view of the 4 pillars and what the different roles are that are open and available within each. And again, these are all volunteers. There are no paid positions. This is of, by, and for the people. We are all volunteers here until the people start putting in enough funds, because there are no employers using the IRS to strong arm funds to pay this assembly. So if you're not paying the assembly, how do you think the assembly is keeping things going? How do you think it keeps the internet going for it? How do you think it keeps power going to keep the computer on and the internet box on to be able to still have internet? How do you think these things keep going if you're not supporting and paying for it? So it's we the people of, by, and for the people that bring all of this together. Now, once the people are starting to generate regular funding, and the General Assembly decides then that there's enough funds coming in that they could allocate salaries for certain things, and it will be the General Assembly that will be that one to put that to a vote to create a budget, but they also would have to make sure it's funded at that point. But this hasn't been done in over 150 years, so there is no pay already sitting here waiting. And a lot of people forget that and think, well, just having them pay the postage for me is no big deal. That's only $4 or $5. But then they forget there's an envelope, there's the printing to be able to do that. There's also the gas to get to the post office to send you. But they think it's all $2 to $4 for postage, no big deal. The assembly can pay for that. Where do you think that's coming from if you're not paying that? It's of, by, and for the people. All right, so on March 27th, I did an update on the counties that have those that are in green. There's at least one on each of those counties that have presented their status correction. And those that are in yellow have at least reached out that they would like more information. And then those that are in white, there's no one haven't heard from anyone on those counties. Now, at that time, we just welcomed home John on Carroll County. And today I just received paperwork that I've already done a walk through the paperwork, and everything should be a go for me to process it first thing tomorrow. And we want to welcome Wayne on Miami County. So that's two in the last week that we've welcomed home. And one has also presented his affirmation of conduct to be able to join the General Assembly and support the Assembly Reconstruction process. So we want to welcome them both home. So that's Carroll County and Miami County that we want to make sure we have new welcome homes. All right, so here's where I've gone through the counties to show how many have presented that are nationals, how many that have presented as citizens, if they're a federal person that have status corrected. And we have a total of 115 so far in Indiana that have status corrected. We do have 438 that are in process. And so I'm trying to get those to be able to confirm their email addresses so that we can be able to get the information back and forth, because there is a technological AI warfare going on. And so there are many of those email providers out there that are forcing emails into spam and filtering. So you have to take active self-governing steps to prove to them that you still want to receive that information. Then you have to still actually open the emails. Even if you don't click on anything, you have to at least open them. You can't just preview them, because the algorithms will not think that you're actually caring about it, because just because you previewed it, you haven't actually opened it. So you have to be smarter than the AI, right? All right, so before we move to this, I'm not seeing anything else here. All right, let's see what Telegram is doing. So far, so good on Telegram as well. I think here. Am I screen sharing on Telegram? I hope. Oh, it hasn't been screen sharing. Snap. Okay. We'll do it with free conference call. Sorry about that, everybody on Telegram. But the audio has been on. And we'll get my camera on for you guys. Okay. Well, it's not wanting to do that one. Okay. Getting technology. All right. But it should. Oh, why is it only showing that? Okay. So we'll go to. Okay. Hold on. Technology. All right, so we need it to stop screen sharing that somehow. All right, maybe give it a minute and wanting to sit right in the middle. Okay, we got to keep going. All right, so I came across this passage because there's many things. Of course, everything has been turned upside down. Oh, there it is. Many things have been turned upside down in this crazy world. We're finding out how many things have actually been lies, how many things have been twisted and turned around. So, I mean, more and more of things that we're finding. We already knew that they specifically only. Greetings, Johnny. Please, I see you on Telegram. Welcome. Put in chat what county you're on. All right, dear, so we can make sure we put you on the record that we had you in the call too, dear. All right, so that's Alexis on free conference call, because I got to go back into the agenda after the call to be able to put, so we can make sure we have it on the record. And then Johnny is on Telegram. Just put your name, first name, and what county you're on, Johnny, in the Telegram, in the chat, so we can make sure we include you. All right. So, and one of the things, because as we're in this time of season, while over the U.S. has created these holy days, supposedly, and turned Easter into something that it wasn't actually, it turned that into completely something different. So separating religion, because even Yeshua did not follow Christianity. So it's getting back to some of these things that we should have been doing in the first place. But this was a reading that I had come across that I thought would be helpful to everyone, because we are coming through. There's going to be some hard times that we're going to be dealing with coming up here, and many are going to have a hard time seeing and hearing what's going to be happening. It's a time of a lot of revealing. We've got we just had the lunar eclipse, and we're coming into the solar eclipse on the 8th, and then we have and the solar eclipse kicks 40 days until Passover. So these are some times to be able to be reflective and get back to the true spiritual nature of things. Separate religion from all of it. Remember who your creator is, and that your true salvation and savior is the creator, Jesus Christ. So you want to make sure and remember that. But I've included in here a link that I thought would be, that was very poignant reading about what's going on today. So I'll read this. All right. Principalities of darkness pushing through the fog. Today, we're going to talk about how to push through when it seems like you've pushed and tested all the limits. Oh, wait a minute. I'm trying to magnify it a bit. Okay. When you've pushed and tested all your limits, but are still in the same scenario that you started with. Perhaps you feel like you're living in a fog. You woke up and do things in the same routine every single day. You say your prayers and read your Bible every night. Your mind is still somehow consumed with all the worry and fear. Perhaps you're not in this position. If so, praise Yahweh. If it is, please keep reading. Picture an ocean that spreads along the earth for miles and miles. It's a beautiful day and the sun is glistening on the waters. It's simply paradise. Then as you travel further into the deep, rough waters, a faint fog appears and it begins to storm the further you travel into it. What you do in the midst of the storm. You're in the middle of the sea. There is no sight of land for miles. You can't turn around because the current's too strong. So what must you do? You have 3 options. Simply let the ocean take you where it goes. Turn back against the current, nearly impossible, or continue to go forward. I would hope you would continue to go further. Not to get so caught up in the storm that you give up and let it take you under, but because you know what comes after the storm. It's so easy to get caught up in the fog of life. It's easy to let your mind run on and on about the worst possibilities and how you're going to get through them. Maybe you say to yourself, I didn't ask for this. Why me? Why my family? Instead, think of it this way. When the storms do come, push through. How can you push through when you're trying to be strong for your whole family and trying not to collapse in the process? How can you push through when you can't see the rainbow ahead of the storm? Well, you can't. You simply can't do it on your own. Do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be afraid, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will hold on to you with my righteous right hand. I don't know about you, but that sounds like a promise to me. We need to hold on to God's promises even when we enter into the fog. Knowing that the storm is coming, brace those storms knowing that you aren't fighting them alone. Even when it may seem like you're the only one fighting, remember that you're not. Your God is always fighting for you and on your behalf. You have to stay strong. Be the one that breaks through the darkness. God will come through if you trust him, and stay strong through it all. The rainbow and clear skies will start to come through amidst the darkness, and you will slowly but surely be able to see again, just as being able to see the clearing. You are releasing the enemy from having further hold you, because you trusted your Father through the whole process. You have now entered the stage of healing and freedom. Just remember that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you, Philippians 4:13. And don't for a second think that you have to do it alone. The darkness is a powerful atmosphere, but the light is even more powerful trials. Now, I brought this up because Anna she uses the buffalo for one of the symbols for America here, and that is because the buffalo faces the storm and heads and goes straight through it to get past it. It's the cow that wants to either get scared and try to run away from it, and then still gets caught up in it. So I thought that was a poignant story to come by, being given the time of year that we are in. So let me switch now back to the agenda. What am I sharing on? I think I'm supposed to be in Rumble. Screen share. There. All right. All right, Johnny, were you able to get your county into the chat for me, please? You still need to do it for me. All right. Put it in the chat. And as to which county you're on. You want to speak? Okay, hold on. Let me figure out the button for that. Hold on. Okay, there you go. You should be able to do it now.
Okay, I don't know how to type. Like, I don't see an option.
Well, you've already done better than I've done by even being able to ask to speak. What county are you on, dear? Hendricks. Okay, that's right. Okay. All right. Welcome, dear. And we're going to make sure, I'll make sure I have you on the agenda presentation after the call. And in the Rumble description has the link to where all of the agendas will be uploading to now after the call, so that you can be able to find them there. Okay. All right, dear. Thank you. We'll get back to things. Welcome. All right. Let me make sure. Okay. Get things going again. All right. All right. So ensure that you are getting the assembly emails, assembly calls, training, prosperity card information, and the like. Means you have to add yourself to the list and follow through with the confirmation. I talked about that earlier. So here's the link you want to make sure that you go to. I know the two of you on the call have been, I'm pretty sure I've got you guys going pretty sure in those emails set up. Thank you very much. It is a complicated system, and I have Gmail for my own personal, so I can see what it looks like. And I went through for that first email, said, I found it in spam, put report not spam, then went to the inbox, and then went ahead and confirmed it. And it was a good 3 or 4 emails that were still popped over in spam. that I had to keep manually selecting report not spam and still actually opening up the email so the algorithms will know that you're still interested, or they think they're doing you a favor if you don't open them after so many times. Even though you're previewing them, it'll start popping them back into spam. So you might even want to get on a regular daily basis of checking your spam junk folders, and once you've already checked through those, go ahead and delete those and clear them out so that you know you won't, because they can get all mixed up and things can get hectic and crazy in there. All right. Seeking an ASN or ASC assembly members to step up, voluntarily support General Assembly committees. So emails will be going out to those that have presented their status correction with a listing of the General Assembly committees. So you can maybe start, we can start getting those building. Sooner the better, right? Seeking ASNs and ASCs to volunteer tech support, like I mentioned, to be able that, and ideally at some point there's a whole IT team to be able to mastermind all the recordings and everything, and then eventually there'll be a assembly chair that will be taking over the calls that I won't need to be able to do that. There'll be an assembly secretary that'll make sure the agenda is together. So I'm visualizing it's going to be right here real quick. All right. Also, those that have presented their ASN and ASC status correction, an email has been sent out to you for the to vote on the public law. One claims all our stuff back and authorizes extraterritorial force and administrative expenses. And the second one removes all the purported immunities. Out of 115 status corrected, only 8 have responded so far. And this is what I mean. If you got to follow through and check within your emails. So, and of course, so far it's all been unanimous of a yes, but we'd like everyone the opportunity to be put on the record of giving their input on bringing forward these 2 public laws. All right. Now, at the next link here, this has several documents that you can be able to support. Again, you have to be status corrected for this to be able to use these documents, but there's some in here that you can start sending out as general information anyway to start giving them the heads up. Like, for example, there's a document that is for information to attorneys and doctors. You can be able to start sharing that. But now you wouldn't be able to use the sole survivorship template unless you've already status corrected, because if you haven't, you're lying. You have to status correct in order to have the standing to be able to then turn around and use the sole survivorship documents. But you can still be able to use the information for attorneys and doctors and anyone. And includes disclaimer and instructions should be applied to tax bills, court summons, or any other official correspondence you receive alleging a debt or other problem. Okay, so there's all kinds of tools available to you, but it all starts with status correcting, because that's your standing to give you the authority to be able to even invoke usage of any of these tools available to you. All right, so here is the list of, right now at least, of committees that I'll be sending an email out to those that have presented as to what committees that you're interested in. And if you are interested in them, we'll review. You'll have to have made sure that you've completed all the cancellations and served notices, even as a state national. But you don't have to do all the main paperwork as state national unless you want to be a citizen. You do the bigger paperwork, but you still have to do all the cancel notices, serve notices, things like that for even just as a national. A reminder again, I've put out there, here is an example of Florida, the Florida Assembly's election process. Here's a link to it. So that people can start reviewing this. We've got to start getting a process in play for the General Assembly to agree on so we can start getting things moving. Here are honest articles for this week. Two key ones that would be beneficial to you are your Social Security card is a bond issued in your name. That would be a good reading. And then I wanted to go ahead and take a minute and read this one. I think it'll show up here in the change for us. Yes. Okay, good. So, tail chasing remedy. Our public law is their private. Their private is our public. This is what we're talking about when we say that we use the public law for our private purposes, while they use their private corporation law for public purposes. And notice that's lowercase public purposes. It's one of the more arcane concepts of the law that is difficult to master. For like magic and witchcraft, it depends on perspective. What your intention is drawn to, how you can be deceived, and how energy is applied. And pay attention to that as well, how energy is applied. There's a lot of things they wanted us to avoid. The public law of this country is American common law, law merchant, and the 10 Commandments. The private laws of this country include British Admiralty, Noahide law, maritime commerce, UCMJ, Roman civil law, municipal law, and ecclesiastical law. Which kind and venue of law, public or private, you are owed depends on 1, your political status, which determines your person, and 2, the jurisdiction involved, the subject of your matter, which all then gives or fails to give the court subject matter and in personam jurisdiction. The great fraud has resulted in a situation in which you can be mistaken for a human person, DBA, a British territorial U.S. citizen, or worse, as a United States citizen of the municipal United States. So it is essential to establish who you are and what your political status is. This in turn establishes whether, for example, you are living in Michigan, residing in the state of Michigan, or residing in the municipal, all caps, state of Michigan. The most recent corporate scam is to claim the existence of a replacement for the state, all caps, state of Michigan, calling itself simply all caps Michigan. And to also claim the existence of the American government, Inc., to replace the United States government, Inc. It's all equally bogus either way in a vain attempt to keep on confusing commercial and municipal corporations with the actual government of this country. These pikers go bankrupt on the public dole, think up a new name, and incorporate a new successor organization and purpose to keep skating. We disallow any such outcome. All this semantic deceit designed to entrap the unwary American public is largely indefensible constructive fraud on the face of it, but we must become aware of it before we can call it out for what it is and focus public attention on what the politicians and members of the Bar Association are doing. The public law of this country is as strong as it ever was, including the federal constitutions, which established the supreme law of our international land jurisdiction with regard to our federal employees. However, we are obliged to provide ourselves with our own courts. Pay attention. We are obliged to provide ourselves with our own courts and to properly identify ourselves and our public status before we can access the public law and the public courts we are owed, and before we can reliably enforce the constitutions. Hence, the importance of why we have to get all 4 pillars, all the seats filled, actually start working through things, and then present to the Federation to be reviewed before being able to separate and invoke ex parte million. You have to actually get moving on it. You have to show up for it. Over the years, many patriot organizations have arisen and many have fallen. Even today, the effort remains confused with all sorts of homegrown splinter groups that distract from the core issues and needlessly endanger everyone involved. We all need to focus our attention on the basics and not get distracted. Who are we Americans? What's our political status? Self-governing. How do we do that? Our state and county assemblies. What's our law? Public law. Who runs our courts? We do. We need to declare and record and publish who we are, because we have all been mischaracterized by the birth registration process, as well as to add to how many will try anything to come in any name but their actual name. Once we are recognizable as Americans, we can get the rest of our job done. We can self-govern. We can run our state assemblies. We can restore our courts. We can enforce our law and stop chasing our tails. Patriots everywhere need to stop the confusion by a reasoned act of will and focus on the nuts and bolts, which I have summarized above. Like us, our government, our actual unincorporated American government, has been more than half asleep for decades. It can be restored, but doing so requires conscious awareness of what's required and where the action takes place and why. As I write, we've literally hundreds of patriot organizations all tugging away at one issue or another. Vast amounts of energy and money are being expended on court cases that yield little, if any, relief, because the courts themselves are, one, foreign, and two, corrupt by design, having been created for purposes of population control and asset stripping. Millions of Americans continue to be abused and coerced in their own purported free country, and 95% of this circumstance is our own failure to properly assess the problem and deal with it. The horror of realizing that your traditional government has been undermined by foreign commercial interests and for-profit or corporations has to be faced and overcome. You have to get past the fact that, yes, they are evil. They have done the things that you would think they never possibly could have done. Yes, they've done it. We must each overcome decades of false indoctrination and bravely confront our situation as it is and where it stands. Because failure to understand the problem leads to wasted time and energy and still no actual solution. We Americans, and probably 2 billion other people in the former Commonwealth, Western Europe, Japan, and the Middle East, have been subjected to an illegal quasi-military occupation using unlawfully converted military forces as mercenaries. These Raj-like organizations, which are supposed to provide us with essential government services, have breached their public trust and operated under color of law for decades, becoming more abusive, more reckless, and more criminal as time has gone on. Americans have created our USA, National Liberty Alliance, We the People, the Union States Alliance, the Grand Jury Movement, Tea Party, and dozens upon dozens more organizations, all trying to address various aspects of this overall dilemma, all without grappling with the basic facts and necessities. 1, we Americans have all been mischaracterized and misidentified by the birth registration process as British territorial U.S. citizens, beginning in the 1920s with the Shepherd-Towner Act and following registration acts. 2, we Americans have been further mischaracterized by the issuance of a second municipal United States birth certificate, which misidentifies us as a United States citizen within the meaning of 42 U.S.C. 9102(18)(c). And I highly suggest anytime you see codes, copy and paste it over into your search engine and read it. Illegally and immorally saddled with these foreign citizenship obligations, which have been created using undisclosed and unconscionable private social contracts, Americans have been stripped, have been entrapped, and subjugated by their own public employees who have been misdirected by foreign interests. It is necessary to object to this and to declare and record our birthright political status. Otherwise, our silence is thought to indicate our agreement and adoption of these foreign and denigrated political statuses and foreign citizen obligations. You have to say no. You can't just ignore it. And you are misled to believe that Jesus only turned the other cheek. He was the one that went into the temples and turned the tables over. So don't think that it's all about you can't speak up. It's also necessary to notice the jurisdiction in which these foreign birth registrations place us, at sea. We've been press ganged. In order to arrive back home again and to self-govern, we have to move back to the land and soil we are heir to, starting from the sea jurisdiction. This is also creating some confusion because our forefathers started on the land and soil, developing the counties in their state, known as the Union States, first, and their international states, known as States of the Union, second. Thanks to starting out lost at sea, we have the additional burden of progressing in the opposite direction, from the sea to the land to the soil. As we arrive back home in our own country and stand in our own international land jurisdiction, State of the Union, we simultaneously repopulate our counties, and the Union States are restored as well. This is what we are doing and why we're doing it this way and in this order. There is a logic to all things, and we must follow it to arrive at our desired result. The restoration, not the reconstruction, but the restoration of the actual American government. Now, if all the patriot organizations in this country would give up their narrow and mostly wrong focus on trying to achieve justice from a patently unjust private court system, or try to garner political favor from the administrators or of foreign for-profit corporations masquerading as our government, and actually face up to the facts and the job that has to be done, it could all be done much faster. Again, it could all be done much faster if everybody face up, show up, so we can start this. Our state assemblies are now all in the General Assembly phase. Some have been able to assemble their state courts, the most potent means we have to lawfully and legally and peacefully obtain justice and enforce the public law on a permanent basis. So come, all you who are burdened down and moaning under the weight of taxation and inflation and other foreign impositions. Join and support your state assembly. All right, so that was the... I gotta go back to here. Okay. Oh, good. Yes. Okay. So that was that article, but these were the articles that Anna has put out for this week, and they were valuable. All right. Let me check where we're at in time. I don't think Joe was able to make it this evening. I left my cell phone out in the... And don't think because you're hearing me say cell phone that I'm an avid cell phone person. I am not. I'm not. I only keep it for absolute emergencies. My children can tell you that I'm not much fun to do work with it. All right, so here's some information that he would be sharing with you anyway. Here's the website for pktfnews.org. We are looking for county sheriffs within the northern counties. This is relative to U.S. Customs and Border Control. They're working with the 100-mile air radius, and that includes all of Michigan and this far down into Indiana. So the line is what I can perceive from the maps that have been shown. So those counties within the line and north of the line, if you feel that you have the current sheriff is a constitutional sheriff and could possibly be interested in listening on how we can be able to work together to be able to support the border here correctly, let us know so we can have them, so we can have Joe connect with them and be able to start working with them directly. Now, if you don't think your sheriff's constitutional sheriff, period, then we need someone to stand up on your county. Okay? Find someone on your county that's going to be able to be as considered a citizen and canceled all the contracts, or they may be able to be a national. Well, look at the chart. But they will have had to have canceled all the contracts so that we can be able to start getting some protection to these northern counties because they are out there harassing. All right. And then there's also now we do know one man on Marion County has spoken up for interest in this role of being an assembly liaison with the Peacekeeper Task Force. But bear in mind, you go there to learn information as well as share information from the assembly. But it's also you come to the General Assembly to present the information that you're learning. It's not something that you're doing on the side separate. It's actually connecting with the assembly. You can learn more about it at the link here at Joe's website for Peacekeepers Task Force. All right, so here are, because Anna had announced back in November 2023 about the med beds. First generation of med beds are out. Here is information about it. They're in Florida. If you wanted mailing information, phone number, here is their web address, as well as Anna had suggested, for the assembly. So if you were interested in helping to support on Indiana to get its first med bed, here is the link to support directly. Here are links to the assembly connections, but also it's hard to keep up with everything. There's so much more. So I've at Linktree has all of the assembly links. Now we're finding that Linktree can possibly start censoring, so it's possible that we may be moving from there, but right now it serves as a valuable tool, and it's a free tool to be able to do that. But again, it's keeping that updated. A reminder that all gifts are welcome, non-refundable, and all benefits waived, and that includes any services provided by the assembly. It's all gifts and are welcome, and all benefits waived. All right, so that was what we had for this evening. And let me check around here in technology. See, I didn't see any chat from Rumble. I don't always see it, but of course I'm just starting out with Rumble Studio. This is only like this is the second time I've used it. So I've just put the words up for the website, the web addresses. So yay, to make sure that I could get that in for us. So I'm learning how to work through this. I've been using OBS, but it really prefers YouTube to be that key, where here I can still stream to YouTube, but Rumble then is the primary of where it's streamed to, as well as on free conference call. All right, so and recordings will be up on all the social media sites, as well as shortly after I'll be able to get the sometime later this evening I'll get those that have been on the call into the presentation so that we have it for the record. So we'll go ahead and we will end for this evening. And a reminder that we're adjourning now. April 15th is the next General Assembly call. So that's in 2 weeks. But next week is April 8th for the Jural Assembly. And again, all Indianians living on Indiana are General Assembly, Jural Assembly, and Militia Assembly. Okay, so don't think, well, I'm not showing up for that because that's not relative to me. No, you're all part of it. Okay. Because you can still get the information, start getting seen, recognized, seeing that you're actually coming to the calls. Others will start recognizing as well. And it's like you're helping to hold down the fort, right? To be able to make sure that these things keep going. Now, as soon as you're able to present your status correction, then you'll be able to, there's more things obviously that you'll be able to get involved with. Prior to status correction, there are some voting things you'll be able to do, some things you won't be able to do. So bear that in mind. So we're here to still be able to help support you in learning how to walk as an American and living peacefully. But again, the sooner the courts are put in play, the sooner that the Indiana Assembly can actually be recognized as the true lawful republic de jure owed to the Indiana people. And until that occurs, it's a hard time to get them to recognize it. You've got to stand up. It is of, by, and for the people. So the rest of this presentation has other information that'll be valuable of reminders to help you with the different elements of it, because again, it hasn't been done in over 160 years, but it was actually in play at one point in time, and is now back by the people, right? All right. I want to thank you all for coming, and I wish you peace and love. And remember to take time to be able to go to your Creator and remember Yeshua is our Savior. There is a reason for that. Separate religion. What they've created is been a lie. Go to your source within. I wish you all peace and love. Have a great evening.